Hi. So what if I told you that you can use this very basic VCV delay in a not so basic way to turn this sound into this sound? Pretty cool, right? So what do we have here? Here I have just a simple sequence mixed with this slow LFO going through this sample and hold, and then it goes in the quantizer, and basically it's just an oscillator, no filter, no envelope, no VCA. We are going straight into this delay, and from the delay into the reverb. And the magic trick is that we patch the same signal to the input and to the time CV input. The same or a signal closely related to our main signal going into the input. And most delays, if we listen to it, when we move this time knob, we get a pitch shifting effect. Right? So what we are doing with this sine wave output, modulating the time, is very closely related to frequency modulation on every oscillator, right? But no oscillator has a feedback path for this frequency modulation input, but the delay has one. So essentially what we are doing is we are modulating this knob with our sine wave, and thanks to feedback we are repeating this modulation over and over again, thousands of times a second, and that gives us this beautiful, distorted, screaming sound. That sometimes gets out of hand. It's very loud. That is just so amazing. And we can expand on this, as you will see in the patches that I prepared for you. But this is the basis of almost every patch that I will show you today. So let's get to another one. So what I have here, I expanded on my previous idea by modulating more parameters of this delay. And I am mixing all 4 wave shapes from this oscillator into this VCA here, and I'm sending that mix into the delay, but also I'm sending it into this VCA, and I modulate the amplitude of this entire mixed signal with this LFO, and I am sending that to not only time as in previous patch, but into the feedback and tone. And don't ask me what that does, but I'm also sending these all 4 wave shapes into the clock input. It's similar to, I don't know, sync input on an oscillator. It just clocks this delay relatively to this frequency. It just yields a different sounding result. So as we hear, depth to this drone. Right? And maybe as a bonus we can just listen to that. As a bonus we could use this with output and self-patch it to the mix knob, but that will be subtle change. So in this patch I have here my fundamental complex oscillator that I'm planning to do a video on as well. And I'm modulating its timbre by these 3 LFOs. And this delay is just a delay, just to add some space. It's subtle. And then again, I'm just modulating time with this very complex waveform. In previous patches I used very simple waveforms, and here I want to just show you that by changing the timbre that goes into this time input, we will actually change the sound of this delay. It's very reactive to what we are sending into it. It doesn't always sound the same, and that's really beautiful about it. Right, so you could experiment with very different sounds coming in, and that will just produce different results. To expand on this, I have this patch here. Simple sequence this time, coming from Orca's Heart. Really great free sequencer, I really recommend it. Just a sawtooth wave, modulated by this ADSR through a VCA, and it goes into this filter. And what I want to show you is that I'm sending a low-pass output into this input, but I'm not modulating the time with the same signal as in previous examples. I am modulating it with a closely related signal because I'm coming out of the same filter but high-pass output. And now, thanks to this knob cutoff point, it's all the way up. So from this high-pass output there is not much sound coming through. I can show you that if I will patch everything here. We just hear this very last of high frequencies, right? So there is not much modulation actually right now, and if I will open the delay and I will remove this now, this modulation here, there's not much changing, right? Maybe a little bit, but not much. And just listen to what happens when I move this cutoff down. Our main sound is getting duller, but the delay starts to work. It's magic. Right? So it's really fun for me to just change the sound going in, and therefore change the modulation going in, and this delay just responds differently to that. And we can create this effect with really anything. Use your imagination, like drums, drones, sequences. It's really, for example, it's really great fade out effect. Instead of just filtering down the sound to silence, we get this destruction of it as well. And it's really unusual way to use a delay, right? So it's really fun for me. Now I'm going to use this delay, 4 of them, as a sort of resonator. So let's listen to that. If I turn the mix knobs all the way up, we get this resonance, high-pitched resonance, thanks to high feedback and short delay time. And it really, even without this reverb, I don't know, this delay sounds very unique to me, very organic, despite its digital nature. But the real cool thing about this patch is that I mix every of these delays, go into the reverb, of course, that's what we hear. But I also take this mixed output and use it to modulate pulse width of my oscillator, right? And just listen to this. It sounds to me like a mix of plates, springs, and strings at the same time. I wonder what would happen if we took this mixed signal and synced it to our oscillator. This is nice. It sounds a little bit like rings from medieval instruments. Really nice. Right, so next patch. Again using the delays as resonators, but this time I'm using a real resonator as my sound source. I don't remember how I patched it. Maybe odd output goes into these two and even... yeah, and even goes into these two here. But what I did is I took 4 VCOs and I tuned their frequencies to create, if I remember correctly, A minor 7th chord. And then the square waves are going into the clock inputs on the delays. So, as in previous patch, I'm using it as a resonator, but this time it will be tuned to some kind of chord, right? So now we are listening to just rings without it, going through some reverb. Now I'm going to add this resonator. And we can further introduce more variation by modulating the tone and time with the same oscillator per delay, right? The tone is very subtle. But the time is always really crazy. Right? So this last patch of resonating delays, another sequence, another very simple voice, going through some reverb at the end. And it's really the same patch as the previous one, but here we can hear really better this chord that I created. It's still very subtle, this chord I mean, because the resonance isn't. It sounds like it's now in this space full of copper tubes and walls made of some other fancy metals. And in fact, I like this patch so much that I added some drums. Change the sequence a little bit. I have here this clock output that you can hear. And just listen, right? It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's just so funny to me that we can take this sound to this. And not through some distortion modules, wave shapers, wave folders, but this very basic delay. That's just amazing to me. So what I'm doing here is I'm sending this white noise and I mix it with some random CVs from this sequencer. And I mix it together and send it to time modulation. So this knob at the same time moves very frantically thanks to this noise, but at the same time it jumps like a sequence, right? So if I remove the noise, now we get classic Karplus-Strong synthesis. We are sending very short sound into the inputs, and thanks to high feedback and short delay time, we get tones. And we can pitch those tones with delay time, right? But thanks to this noise, we actually distort things really, really nicely. Right? So this actually inspired me to do some hard techno with it. Here are hats. And this really powerful kick-all from Bifaco. So here is the same sound going in, trigger output from this sequencer. And I go into the VCA because I had to attenuate this delay very much. And then I go into this wave shaper, and then to this wave shaper from Struo, and then to this filter with high resonance. This is why we hear some this pings. Right? But somehow, I don't remember exactly how, I managed to turn this delay into a bass voice. Listen to that. Right? It has to do something with this clock input being modulated with this square wave output. If I remove it, I get this. And I'm modulating time, I'm sequencing it with this row, first row from this sequencer, right? Through some attenuation. Right? Really cool. And I added as well some hats and some fast kick drum. Right, so this is everything that I have for you today. I would tell you to subscribe and all of that, but most importantly, just keep exploring, keep making new sounds, and share this beautiful language of voltage with others. Happy patching!